After completing this module, you will be able to state the use of survey stations in chain surveying and identify the conditions to be fulfilled by various survey lines. As you know, we can show the relative positions of objects on the ground with the help of surveying. In surveying terminology, the prominent points of a survey are called main stations and the minor points are known as subsidiary or tie stations. The use of main stations is that they show the limits of the surveyed area. The use of subsidiary or tie stations is that they serve as reference points for taking measurements. Before we move to the next topic, remember that prominent points of a survey are called as main stations and the minor points are known as subsidiary or tie stations. Main stations show the limits of the survey while subsidiary stations serve as reference points. We see lines of different styles on survey maps or plans. They are named as the main survey lines, the baseline, check lines, and tie lines. Let us know more about each of them. The baseline is the longest line joining two main stations of the area under survey. Check lines are lines which are usually drawn from the baseline to a main station or a subsidiary station. Check lines help in checking out or verifying the accuracy of the surveying work. The length of the check line on the ground must be correct according to the measurements shown on the map. It is a standard surveying practice to divide the area to be surveyed into triangles that are to the extent possible equilateral. Now, each such triangle should have a check line. Check lines can be drawn from the apex of a triangle to any point on the opposite side. A tie line is a line which joins the subsidiary or tie stations. So remember, the different types of survey lines are the main survey lines, the baseline, that is, the longest line, joining the main stations, and check lines and tie lines. As the survey maps or plans are important for those using them, there are some conditions which must be fulfilled by survey lines. Let us find out what they are. First, the survey stations must be intervisible. Next, there must be a minimum number of survey lines shown on the map so that plotting the framework is made easier. Next, the framework or the survey drawing must contain one or two baselines. If one baseline is shown, it must extend along the length and across the central region of the area. If two baselines are shown, they must intersect in the form of the letter X. Then, the lines must extend as far as possible through level ground. Next, The main lines should form part of a well-conditioned triangle. Every triangle should contain check lines as required. As far as possible, the main survey lines should not pass through obstacles. So, keep in mind, these are the conditions to be fulfilled by survey lines. In this module, you have learnt about the use of survey stations, the types of survey lines, and the conditions to be fulfilled by survey lines. In surveying terminology, the prominent points of a survey are called main stations, and the minor points are known as subsidiary or tie stations. Main stations show the limits of the survey, while subsidiary stations serve as reference points. The different types of survey lines are main survey lines, the baseline, check lines, and tie lines. Main survey lines form the survey boundary lines of the area. The baseline is the longest line between two main stations. Check lines and tie lines help in checking the accuracy of the surveying work. Lastly, there are a number of conditions to be fulfilled by survey lines.